Hi, my name is Tara Kachataroff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest Andy Gutman of Gut Check Books, who is an author and songwriter. Welcome to the program.
Tara, thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to see you again. We've had you on the show a couple other times for different things over the years. And besides being an author and a songwriter, you're also a corporate president. So you got a lot going on there. So before we get started and talk about the book that you just wrote with a group of kids, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so during the day, I'm with an amazing commercial real estate company called the Farbman Group. I run the day-to-day activities for the organization and oversee our uh, real estate holdings. We have a Midwest expertise and a global reach, and so during the day, I get to do what I love in commercial real estate, and it's just been an amazing field. I've been in it since for close to 30 years now. And every day in commercial real estate is different and exciting. So that's my day today. And then in the evenings and nights, on the weekends, I write books, I produce songs, and try to unleash my creative side.
Yeah, you have a lot going on there because we've talked to you about your real estate business, and we've also talked to you about a prior book you wrote several years ago. And I know you have many more books out right now. And today we're going to talk about one of your books that you wrote. But before we jump into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the creative end of things? I mean, you've been a businessman for 30 years, you've got that down, but how did this other part of you start to evolve and then become a bigger part of your life?
Yeah, music and writing have always been a part of who I am. It was kind of a quiet hobby for so many years. And I loved taking the time and energy. It helped me unwind at the end of the day. It helped me, feel at ease. And I never thought I would do anything with it. And then some, unfortunate or different changes in my world made me think about uh, leaving something behind, leaving a legacy. And I know real estate, and what I've accomplished here has meaning, but I always wanted to leave something for my daughter. I had a coworker of mine who several years ago passed away unexpectedly, and he was gearing up for retirement. It was about a year away, and every day he would come in. He and I were the first two in the office every day, and he'd come in and say, "Hey, in 365 days, I'm gonna retire, and I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna spend time with my grandkids." And unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly out of the blue. And it was a wake up call for me to accomplish all the things in my life that I had kind of put aside. And writing and doing music was a big part of that. So I had been writing songs for my daughter, and I started turning them into books as well. So the books, really, for most of them, other than this one, started out as songs, and it was really my way to leave something for my daughter to have. I worked with her on a few of the books, and it was a nice way for us to connect and make sure that throughout her life and perhaps one day her children's lives, they can look back and say, I was loved, part of something spectacular, and I can accomplish anything in my life. And so that's how it has all evolved.
It's interesting. I don't think I realized that your books found their beginnings in song. That's interesting. So
Thank
do you
you.
play the guitar or something? Do you play an instrument as well?
So here's the great thing. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I like to think of myself as a songwriter, and that's what I do is I create the lyrics.
Hmm.
I bring together the instrumentalists who put together the music, and I bring the singers on board. So I select them all to do it, and we collaborate. And it's really a fun process. Um, it's evolved over the years because I've learned more about the technology, and there's been times that I've produced some of the beats that accompany the songs. But mostly, I look to great artists to help bring my words to life. And in many cases, it's really about that collaboration too. As a real estate person, I collaborate every day with our
Mhm.
various divisions, with brokerage and property management, and songwriting and producing songs is very similar. We go back and forth on the lyrics. We look at the placement of the wording in the song and make sure the beat matches up to the emotions. So it's kind of a fun collaborative process. But God help us if I ever sing on any of my songs.
Oh my gosh. That's kinda interesting though. So you're like a music production company and you got all the aspects of it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Wow. And,
yeah,
yeah, and I wanna circle back and talk a little bit more about, how you find people, and I think some of that will come out as we talk about this next book. But, you recently, teamed up with, the kids at Brilliant Detroit and, wrote a book together. And I'd love you to, let's try to, like, unpack that experience. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about Brilliant Detroit and what that organization is all about and who it serves?
yeah. Brilliant Detroit is just an amazing organization that serves right now the Detroit community, and it really creates little areas where the community can meet, um, help the kids to grow, bring families together. I believe that the true purpose is to get kids ready for school and get them prepared so they're on path when they start kindergarten and they up until they're 8 years old. But it's so much more than that. Brilliant Detroit has 18 homes in the city of Detroit, and they drop into the community. They get to know the community before they drop in, and it becomes a place where people meet and they can learn skills. It's a great little home, each one of them, and little sub part of the community, bringing together and making a difference there that will have an impact for so many generations. So
Is
I
it
feel
actually a home that they find in the community and run
yeah,
it out of a home? Okay. So
right. So what they do is they find a home, they rehabilitate the home.
mhm.
It's really they create some color palettes and make it a very upbeat, festive place to be while fitting into the community. But even before they drop in, they get to know the people in the community. They tell them what they're trying to do. So they've now got 18 of these homes that they've rehabilitated and made to look special. And families meet and gather, and the kids have a place to go and create new friendships and learn. And so I started working with them on a prior book of mine called Be Kind, which was really just trying to teach a lesson of kindness. And in doing that, when I started to roll that out, I thought, if I'm going to really practice what I'm preaching and being kind, I need to really give away profits to organizations that dedicate themselves to kindness. So Brilliant Detroit was one of the ones I teamed up with. There were three in total, but I fell in love with the concept. I fell in love with what they're doing, and their CEO and their investors are wonderful people. Cindy Eggleton is the CEO that runs the day to day, and I call her our Mother Teresa of the Detroit community. She is one of the nicest, kindest people I've ever met, and I can't do enough to try to help that organization.
And so can you hold up a copy of the book and then we'll kind of unpack it? So
Yes.
let me see, like I can't see it on my screen.
Yeah, I'll pull it up a little bit higher.
Life
It'll do the work.
Lessons from Brilliant Detroit.
Yeah.
And you have a really cute picture and then all of the kids' names on there as well.
Yeah, and they're really a lot of caricatures of the kids. So it was fun getting to know. We really took. It ended up being 19 kids that participated, and during
Were they
COVID,
all from one of the homes or from a variety of the homes? From one particular one?
it was one particular home in Southwest Detroit,
Mhm.
and every Saturday over a summer during COVID, myself and a team of us that worked on this together would go down and visit with the kids, and we'd ask them to draw different life lessons. What it
Mhm.
means, what makes them special. What does it mean to be kind? Um, what do you want to be when you grow up? And um, various other lessons. And so every week they'd draw that. And many times we took that and had one of our graphic designers that works on my books take that and interpret that and put it into the book. And so it was a long process. It was the first book that didn't start as a song, although there's two accompanying songs that go with it. But it was really about the kids and giving them an opportunity to become authors themselves and become entrepreneurs.
So when you got involved with this particular um, home for Brilliant Detroit, did you have an idea you wanted to do a book, or were you just doing volunteer work and then it kind of came out of that? How did the book come to be?
Yeah, my involvement with Brilliant Detroit it started with this donation to the organization through my prior book. And as I got to know the people at Brilliant Detroit, I loved what they were doing. And I came up with the idea of trying to do something to help the organization in the way that I felt I could best do that, which was as a writer. And so I approached their CEO and said,
Mhm.
what do you think of this idea? I'd like to, work with kids who want to be a part of it. I actually, one of the special moments I had, I went to one of the homes, not the one where I ended up doing the book, to read my prior book to the kids.
Is that
And
the one on kindness? Is that the one
yes,
on? Okay.
it was Be Kind. And when I got there, there was an adorable young girl who came up to me before I started reading, and she said, "I loved your book. I want to be an author when I grow up." And
Oh,
that was
wow.
what really spurred my idea of, let's write a book and make these kids the author, because if they see that success at 2 to 8 years old, can you imagine what they believe they can do throughout their lives?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, nothing better than a collaborative anthology. I love that. I love that idea. Very exciting. And I love the fact that you acknowledge them all by putting all their names on the cover page too.
Yeah. Well, what we also did, one of them received a gift card when they wrote the book, and that was their payment as an author. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, they're now paid authors, and I love seeing the excitement on their faces when they hold up their book or their. We did an autograph session with them recently with the community, and you could
Oh
just see them
God.
beaming with pride.
How cute. I love that. I love that they learned about getting their little royalty payment, and that's so important. It teaches them a little bit about business.
Yes.
And yeah, I love that. Now, so I know as I was looking through a copy of the book, you had the name of the child and the inspiration and the obviously beautiful pictures. The illustrations are fantastic.
Right.
Really, really great artist. What? How did you plan the process of taking them through the book writing process? Like, I mean, each person had to be told, hey, you need to come up with an idea or a life lesson. How did you do that with the kids? And were you doing it over multiple weeks of visiting with them? How did it all play out?
It was multiple weeks, and we really started with uh, several ideas. What does kindness mean? What does it mean? What makes you a special person? And various lessons that we threw out there to them to make them think and spur their creativity. And so for a period, I want to say it was 10 weeks, we went every Saturday and spent, an hour or two with the kids, and they would draw. And, we brought out some of the characters from other books. I had Charlie the caterpillar come out and meet with them and
I
just spur.
remember Charlie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was an evolution, and it was really throwing out ideas to them and letting them tell us what it meant and draw for us what it meant to them.
And then you help them because I think some of them are probably pretty young. You help them craft their sentence or so for the book and kind of get their sign off on it.
We did. We actually videoed their responses to everything that they did. We At the end of every session, they would hold up their picture, and they would tell us what that was, what it meant, and why they
Oh,
drew what they drew. And so we have all these great videos of them really putting together their ideas. And we did have to, do a little bit of helping bring out some of those ideas.
Mhm.
It's tough to elaborate on what you're thinking, that young, and also pretty intimidating when adults are asking you, big questions about life. But
Yeah.
so adorable, such wonderful kids.
I love that because you're having them involved in so many activities, which is they're not typical child activities. So it helps them grow and be exposed to so many new ideas and even just writing a book. Like how many kids say that they've written a book?
Right.
I love that you gave them this variety and this input because those years are really important, 0 to 7, and makes all the difference in what happens later.
It
So
does.
I bet you're going to have a number of authors coming out of this going
That's
forward.
our hope. If we can get, if we make a difference in one child's life, that's huge to me. And Brilliant Detroit makes a difference in hundreds of families' lives every year. It's just amazing, maybe thousands. And so just to play a small part in the future of children. And the nice thing is this can be continued. This could become an annual
Mhm.
or, every other year type of a thing where, more and more kids get that opportunity. So it's kind of cool that the impact that Brilliant Detroit and me as just a lowly artist can have every day. It's humbling.
Can you show us like two example pages from that particular book and hold them up so we
Absolutely.
could see?
I'd like nothing more. And the nice thing is when I hold it up on screen, it does the right thing and it kind of blocks out my face. So it's very good for everybody, every one of your viewers. So let's see if I can bring that in.
Yeah,
Can you see
so
that?
if you hold it up a little bit more over your face. Yeah, so okay, so let me see if I can click on that. So this is if you can hold it up a little higher, see if I can
Yes.
read it. Jaylene loves to draw and her skills as an artist make her feel special. All right. So that's Jaylene Quintana. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful picture. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
And
Yeah, I
then
have a
I
great.
like you also have it's an interactive book. On the other side, it says, "What makes you special and unique?" And so the kids can really get it's not just a book to read, it's a book to do. And
Absolutely.
parents love that because it keeps them really occupied.
Yeah. Would you like to see one more?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Actually, we've got two in a row here, and the
Oh,
one
love this.
I want to say the one on one side of it, and I've got to pull that down on this side, um, where my left hand is. That is almost completely the child's artwork, and our graphic designer said I can't do much more to make that any better. She's a great artist, which I thought was
Wow.
really cool at such a young age, but
That's
amazing artist. That
beautiful.
and that brings out her
I
skill.
can't read what it says at the bottom. It says, "I love you. I love my family," but I can't read her name.
Yeah, so I'll have to pull that around. This one at the bottom is Emily Nunez,
Emily
and
Nunez.
yeah,
Beautiful.
and the other side was Tatiana, and they're just amazing kids. But the art that she had when she saw the book, she's like, "That's actually my complete artwork," and it was the one that we could really do. So it was pretty amazing. We
That artwork is spectacular.
Yeah, how's that for that young of an age, right?
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's definitely an author in her for sure. So the artwork in this is really beautiful. So the illustrations were the with some exception like for this last one, but was did you have one single illustrator working throughout that one book? Was
I
it?
did. I have an illustrating organization that I hire for my books, and
Mhm.
they started with me since my second book. This is now my sixth, and they just do such a great job, and it feels bright and colorful
Oh
and
yeah.
vibrant.
Yeah, it really is, and I love, it goes right off the page. It's beautiful. It
Yeah,
really is capturing. I was going through the book page by page and reading through it. It's really, really nice. And I like the activities, like I said, I think those are great for kids to,
thank you.
look at a picture, think about it. They get to see that it was done by a little boy or girl, and they can maybe identify with even the name. And there's so many neat things about this book. Um,
Thank you.
they can read it, their parents can read it to them, and they can draw on it. So it doesn't get any better than that, right?
No,
Oh,
do you have any?
it does, because you said there's some music.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's some music that goes with this. So is there some sort of link in the book or something where they can find the music?
Yeah, so the link is on the website, which is gutcheckmusic.com, and it takes you to the various songs. There's a song for every book. In this one, there was two, and this the children that participated in this was a highly Hispanic community that were part of it. So it was really important to me. The book is both in English and in Spanish. So if you go
Oh,
on Amazon.com, you can buy the book in either language. And I thought that was important because some of the kids, that was more of their primary language, and some it was English as a primary, but all of them had some level of Spanish knowledge. And so we have a song that's done in English and a song that's the same song in Spanish. So it's really fun stuff, and it's like upbeat, so anyone can pull that up and listen to it.
I love that. I love that you have it in both options. That's great. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I like how you're just you kind of encompass everything. You're taking care of, you have everything going on every burner. You're covering all your bases with things just to make it such a complete package for people when they get the book. You can get two different copies, and actually, if they don't already know Spanish, this is a great way to introduce kids to another language as well. So there's lots of positives in this.
That's a great point as well. I didn't even consider that, but it's such a good thing. You're right.
I
Uh,
study like languages, so I love anything about learning new languages, and this is a great way to get a kid started
oh,
in
thank
a
you.
fun way. you know this can open up a whole new publishing arm for you too. Even your other books can be republished in other languages.
Absolutely.
So
And
something to think about.
yeah, we are looking at that. It is interesting since this was published. I've had a number of different chambers of commerce that I've talked to about either creating books in languages for their constituents and the people in the communities they serve,
Hmm.
or taking ones I've already got and making sure they are in various languages that allow kids in their community to read them as well.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here, so you got to add these to your to-do list.
Yes, I need to write that down while we're talking.
Yeah, write it down, don't forget. um,
Great ideas.
So, let's see. What did I want to get back to my question? So, what was one of the most important things that came out of doing this particular book project? Because this is the first one you've done, like an anthology, right, or a collective
It
group
is.
type of thing, right? What was your biggest learning from doing one of these books?
You know, I don't know, learning wise. I mean, I learned so much from the kids, but one of the biggest challenges that I really had with this is that when you're working with families and children, the weight of that responsibility is so heavy. And this book took me the longest of any book that I've written, because I wanted to make sure that I did a service to those families and represented them so incredibly well. And so it was, they all aged a year or two by the time it was out.
Right.
And I saw him for the first time again, uh, just right after the book came out, when we all met, and it was amazing how many had grown. And but that responsibility to make sure that I'm portraying them in the most positive light, and their work and their feelings and emotions, um, was humbling and a huge responsibility. And so I took a lot of extra time on this one to make sure that it was done in my mind as well as it could be, because I owed that debt of gratitude to the kids and their families.
I'm sure you made a very big impression on them. And it wasn't like a one-time event, like, hey, let's go to Disneyland or let's go to do this or that. This is something that they saw this over a process. So it's really, really deeply ingrained in their consciousness, which is great because it's not like a memory that's going to fade. You know what I mean? It was a long-term
Absolutely.
interface. And I think you've changed a lot of lives and your own, by doing something like this.
Yeah, definitely my own. It's it's opened me up to the idea of continuing to try on the path of kindness. And I try to incorporate that into my everyday life, but working and helping a nonprofit, helping the kids in the community. That is, it's what I live for outside of my work. And, I'm hoping to do more of that. And even this one, 100% of the profits, 100% of everything goes to Brilliant Detroit. And I'm looking forward to helping put a brick or two in the next house and continue to help the community.
And what's so great about this is they see the result, a tangible result of putting in effort over a period of time. That is a huge life lesson in and of itself, because often as a child, it's kind of like the marshmallow experiment, take it now or invest and see what happens later. This is really, really important in showing them how you can build an outcome over time. I mean, to me, there's so many different grades of benefit that came from this, including all the ones that you've talked about. But boy, I see a lot of promise right there, because if that had happened to me as a youngster, actually, I do remember actually writing books when I was young. I still actually have 2 of them that I wrote when I was really, really young. It did change my life. And I do write books as a result today. I mean, it did. It's weird, but that thing is going to change these people, change
Yeah,
every single one of them. I guarantee it. I don't know which way, but I see some big things from these kids in the future.
yeah, that's the hope, is that
Yep.
we've created the next Tara.
So, what kind of feedback did you get from parents? I mean, parents were a big part of this. They're bringing their kids there. They're, opting their kids in to be able to participate in this. What kind of feedback were you getting from the parents as a result of this? I'm sure they had some interesting things to share.
The parents have taken such great pride in it, and I think that's the best part, is that when I talk to them, they're so excited for their kids, and they see the difference in their response to it. The kids, like I said, we did an autograph session. The parents all showed up, and they were really very happy for their kids, and just seeing the pride on their children's faces and the excitement and enthusiasm. And some of the kids are now, lining up interviews and other things themselves. And it's really great to see them talking, in an interview setting, which may, spur a different career for them still.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Well, I know I've just had a great time learning more about your project with the kids at the Life Lessons from Brilliant Detroit book. But if you could leave us with one piece of advice from your experience of working with these kids, what would that one piece of advice be?
My piece of advice to anyone trying to make a difference in the world is that, there's an ability to do that no matter what you're doing. A small part, volunteering on weekends, whatever little bit you can do to make a difference in the world. We hear too much on the news about the bad things in the world, but if we all kind of pitch in a little bit, if we do just whatever we have time to do, we can all make this world so much better of a place.
Well said. Thank you so much, Andy Gutman of GutCheckBooks.com, author and songwriter. Thanks so much for being a guest on Michigan Entrepreneur.
Thank you again for having me, Tara. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at www.michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.